Hey, what's up? Welcome to New Music Muse. I'm your host, Ben Wigo. Want to welcome my guest, Harley.
Excited to be here.
What's up?
Just hanging out today, writing some music. What have you been up to?
That's dope.
Yeah.
Just working, just trying to get through this winter. But you're in LA, right?
I'm actually in Seattle, but I'm in LA a lot. But
Oh, cool. Are
so it
you?
is cold here too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure. Are you from Seattle?
I am. Yeah, originally from
Cool,
Seattle
cool.
area.
And you like go to LA a lot though to like visit and like do
Yeah, I
your
have a lot of
music?
friends down there. I've been co-writing a lot with some people down there. So um, one of my friends just dropped the track, and I flew down for the release party and just kind
Oh,
of
sick.
it's an hour and a half flight, so it's real quick to get there. And
How would you describe your style of music, and what is like a song that you would tell people to listen to first?
Um, I guess I would describe my music as just chill pop music. Um, a lot of it's breakup music. We fit with like, or I guess the music I've been writing is more like Lauv and Laney and Troy Sivan in that style. But I'll go listen to Backseat. That's our biggest. That's I say our, but it's my biggest song. Um, it's not just me doing this; it's a whole team. So gotta give them credit. But my favorite song that I've done that's out right now is Hypnos. But all of these songs are kind of like older. They're about 2 years old, and I'm writing
Yeah,
new stuff, and I'm more excited about the new stuff. So if I could tell them to go listen to a new song, I would. But it's just not out yet.
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a difficult thing for artists when they're like trying to build themselves, and how much can you like promote one song that you kind of
Right.
released like a couple of years ago. But I also love Backseat. That's what kind of put me onto your music.
Oh,
And
fun. Cool.
production is sick, the vocals are sick, and it kind of has like a nostalgic vibe, and also
Yeah.
it kind of has that like breakup thing where you're like, you kind of find like details about the person that you realize you couldn't fucking stand.
Yeah.
And then you
That's exactly it.
yeah, and then you kind of like, well, this is kind of perfect for a song, because I think a lot of people will relate to that.
Yeah.
And the production's amazing. So you said you work with a team?
Yeah. So well, it's just me and my buddy Abe right now. So I'll write the music, um, and then he's been producing me, and we'll just sit down and go through it all. So he did all five of those songs that are out. So I went and wrote them, and then he just came in and made them what they are. So like those tones, that you hear in Backseat, like that, those breathy synths, and that's all him. The guy's a wizard behind the keys. So
Yeah, that's dope.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like we'll go and just spend. I mean, I'm a smaller artist still, so we'll just kick it in like our bedrooms with our laptops open and just make music for hours. I was just over there on kicking it with him on Saturday for like 6 hours, just working on two different songs, just vibing out. It's a really good time, and it's cool to like connect with like a good friend in that way too. So
Yeah, for sure. And like you get a really good experience and you come out with this really great art that you worked on
mhm,
together. And I think that whole subgenre of bedroom pop, like that's what it really means. Like literally starting in your bedroom.
exactly.
Um, and I think your music kind of generates that type of sound. Like,
It definitely it is. I don't. I mean, I guess I don't hate the term bedroom pop, um, but that essentially, yeah, that's exactly what it is. We're just making music in our bedroom.
yeah, I get that. Like you kind of just don't want to be categorized into one subgenre. It's annoying, but I kind of like the term in terms of describing like where you start making music.
Absolutely.
Because
I mean, that's what it is. I just see it as like I can't wait to. I mean, and COVID put a hold on everything, but I can't wait to not make music in a bedroom. I guess so. The rare times that me and Abe are in a real studio, it's so refreshing. Um, because
mm-hmm.
I think of it as like a bedroom is a small place, and you're trying to create big ideas in like a tiny space, and the creativity and the inspiration are minimal in those.
Yeah. You don't want to be limited in that sense.
Yeah, so it's nice to break out of that bedroom and actually go to real studios. So I guess that's why mainly, not because of the genre it like describes, but just like the ideas, or like the I guess, what am I trying to say? Like the cage, you feel caged. Like when I hear bed,
Yeah.
it's just like I feel like my inspiration is kind of caged.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so how would you describe your songwriting process?
That's so interesting because it's so different for every song. But essentially, it's got to start with a feeling. And for the 5 songs I have out, it was all started with a feeling, and I just ran with the feelings. And I think that created like an idea of songs that just kind of went where they wanted, which is really cool. But I think a lot of because of that, in those 5 songs, a lot of points or things I was trying to get across are then missed. So recently, it starts with a feeling or an emotion, and then I pick out what that means to me, or I just try to like understand myself, and then I'll create a phrase or um, a word that applies to that meaning. So right now I'm writing a song called Mud, and I was like, okay, how do I had this idea, this feeling. It's like, man, I broke up with my ex because I just didn't want to drag her through the mud. And so that sparked an idea. It's like, oh, I should write a song about dragging someone through the mud or feeling like I am. And then I now I'm going about it. I've rewritten the song like 3 times. It's kind of bugging me. But so I wrote this chorus, and it's all about like dragging someone through the mud. But I'm like, how do I write the verses that apply to that overall phrase so it all makes sense, so all coherent? So then I broke it down. It's like, well, mud. When I think of mud, I think of like murkiness, or like kind of dirty, or it kind of clings to, or like. And then when I think of murkiness, I think of uncertainty. So I was like, what if I write like the verses about not being able to understand these emotions? Okay, then how do I describe that? And then it just kind of like backpedals all the way back to the beginning, and then I usually write the verses after I get the hook down.
That's
That's probably
cool.
a lot of like mumbo jumbo, but hopefully
No,
that.
I completely understand what you're saying because you kind of
Yeah,
want to start from a general idea in the hook
yeah,
and from that kind of gather what you're gonna say in the verses.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of stuff I have out now, and it's really cool because that's just how my writing has developed over time, and especially over COVID and all these new co-writes I'm getting in. But the the songs that I have out now are kind of like this idea, and they just kind of like I said, free float, and the idea kind of changes throughout the song, which is, I think, again, tough to hone in a certain point or certain emotion. So it's kind of interesting to watch or listen to these new tracks that I have now that are in the production stages or the mixing stages versus like the ones I put out a couple years ago that are out now. It's
Yeah,
really
for
cool.
sure.
It's inspiring, really, because I'm like, man, I've just grown a ton. Like I could hear some of these new stuff I'm writing like on the charts. I could hear when I couldn't necessarily hear that when I was writing with Harley. I was like, oh, this is catchy, just feels good. Let's go with this vibe and go with this emotion. But it's like, no, now I'm actually getting to the heart of things. I'm actually dealing with issues that I have, or emotional issues, and like really releasing them and letting go of them and expressing them. And so it's really freeing, actually.
Yeah. When you're able to put that raw emotion into your music, it becomes even more genuine
Absolutely.
and like you said, music is really developmental.
Hmm.
So you're looking at your old music and you're like, wow, like the shit I'm about to put out is like so much better than this. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, but um and it's not to undermine what you worked on in the past because in the
No, not at
past
all.
yeah, because you were
Yeah.
like, wow, this was really good when I was making
Yeah.
it. And it's kind of like music is very in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like when you put out that stuff, you were going through a completely different
Absolutely.
phase of life. And now you're putting out new stuff that is, you know, a lot different.
Yeah. Well, yeah, same vibe, but it's the same Harley, same
Yeah.
sound, same tones. It's just matured, and I'm excited for my listeners to hear that change. One, the change of heart, but two, just the growth mentally, and then the growth like just in my songwriting. I think that's really cool for people to go through. Like, you take your favorite bands and you go listen to their first album, you're like, man, I love this. But you listen to their new stuff, you're like, wow, this
Yeah.
growth is surreal. And it's cool that to be a part of that, because I didn't see that for a while. I was like, man, I'm just gonna write like this forever. And then all of a sudden I hit this growth spurt and I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, I get why people go through these changes. I see how people evolve and sounds evolve over time. And um, it's like, it's just true artistry. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So are you working on any albums or projects right now?
Yeah, so I am actually writing a ton. COVID was a time where I was talking to management and like, this is just the time to put your head down and write. Um, and let's push this as much as you can. Let's get a group of songs together that are just bops and then put them out like one by one by one by one. So I'm writing. I before COVID, I broke up with my girlfriend, so I'm actually writing a whole album. I'm like 8 songs deep that I love, that I absolutely love, and it's a whole album of just this like breakup. But it's not only like a breakup album. It's more like, hey, I could have done that better. It's like almost apologetic. Um, but I think we're gonna drop those um, as singles. We'll see. We'll see what comes. But yeah, I'm very excited for this chapter. But as I'm writing, I'm also kind of closing that door of that chapter because it's been a year now. So it's like I got 8 or 9 that I love. We'll see how they come out when they come out, and then I'm kind of moving on to this next idea already.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting how artists are kind of putting out their work because a lot of people think that singles are just a better way to market music and are just more
yeah,
digestible.
mhm,
And but sometimes, like artists want to put out, you know, an album or a project that has a overall theme
yeah,
that kind of, you know, one by one each song kind of goes into the other.
yeah,
So, um I guess it has to be up to the artist, what
yeah.
they want to tell, like how they want to tell their story.
Like to some degree, it's up to the artist, but a lot it's actually up to the team because it's like you said, like what's more digestible by the listener. So like, if I had it my way, I would put out these 8 or 9 songs as singles, but I do like 3 or 4, make an EP, and do 3 or 4 more and make an EP, and then like put together as like one collection. So it's just like a 2 EP collection. So it's easy for people to like digest. But we'll see what my team has to say once the songs are all finished and set up and us in the masters. So I guess like the idea, even if a new band comes out with an album, like I'm being dead honest. Like I love Coin. I love Laney. I love the 1975. I love Troye Sivan. I love Troye Sivan. But when they put out whole albums, I mean I'm so ADD that I get a little anxious before I listen to them because it's so much material. Like I'm so invested in each of those songs too that I'm like, this is gonna take me weeks to get through. It's just a lot to digest, like we've been saying. So like that's why I kind of view that single world as kind of ideal for me right now because I'm nowhere near to being as big as Troye Sivan or some of those people. So I think like maybe I'm saying this wrong, but I feel like listeners it'd be overwhelming.
Yeah,
uh,
no,
to listen
100%.
to
I
like
definitely agree with
stuff.
that. The albums are just really hard to digest no matter where they're coming from.
Yeah,
And especially if you're a smaller artist, you kind of want to get more traction by dropping singles and letting the listener kind of understand your sound. And
absolutely.
so would you say like those artists are like some of your inspirations that inspire your style of work and inspire
Yeah,
your writing process?
yeah. I think their writings are really good. I love mainly their production value. I love the tones that all 3 of those artists bring to the table. Um, but I would say lyrically, I really listen to artists like I love Tom Petty. I think he's a lyrical genius. I think Bob Dylan's a lyrical genius. Um, and people more a little more old school like that because I think their these days is so easy to like get caught up in like what's cool in the trends, and I tend to get caught up in that as well. But I'm starting to look at it from like a real perspective. It's like, okay, what sounds more classic? What will live the longest? Um, or hold the biggest legend, I guess. And so I look at those artists, those older artists like Bob Dylan and Tom Petty and Don Henley because they are still massive names. And so yeah, lyrically and melodically, I think I'm kind of reaching in that direction.
Yeah, for sure. Because you kind of want to look at what has like the longest shelf life.
Yeah, what stands the test of time, really. Like I'm trying to make classic, timeless things. I want to be not just a part of like your life or some other listener's life right now. I want to be part of their life like when they get married or when they have kids, and then their kids have, friends and parties, and or when their kids get married. Like that would be amazing to just be a part of like generations
Yeah,
like
for
that, the
sure.
way Don Henley or Tom Petty or Bob Dylan has been.
So do you have any like dream collaborations, and are you working on any like realistic collaborations right now?
Um, I have we're talking we're trying to talk to certain artists about collabs, but nothing like set. And even if it was, I don't think I could say anything. But I think I would love to collab with Julie Michaels. I think she's an incredible writer. I would love to collab with JP Sachs, and there's just so many. Troye Sivan. I just discovered an artist called Leon, and she sounds like Lady Gaga, and I'm absolutely obsessing over her. So probably her as well. But
Yeah, I've heard of her.
she's
She's got
amazing.
some. Yeah.
She's amazing. I just I've heard her name and I've heard her around, but I just turned her on for like the first time a week or two ago, and I was absolutely blown away. I was like, this is nuts. The melodies are just so unique to me and just catch me off guard in like the best way.
Yeah, she's really good. I like her song Tired of Talking, Baby
Yeah.
Don't Talk.
Hmm.
Those ones are good. What song like are you most proud of, and why, that you put out?
That I put out. Um, I'm proud of them all because each song has that's such a cop out answer, I know, but each song is just a lot of hard work. Um, I'm proud of the growth that Backseat is still seeing. Um, I'm proud of how real the emotions in Japan are. Because I wrote that like present time. My girlfriend left for 2 weeks, or my ex girlfriend in Japan, and then I realized like that's when I loved her is when she's gone for 2 weeks, and so I wrote that in like 3 days during the time she was gone. So I was proud of like getting all of those thoughts on paper in those 3 days, and then I'm really proud of Hypnos because I think Hypnos is a step in the right direction. I think it's probably the catchiest melody I've written and probably the most cohesive song that's out right now. Um, so I guess all three of those I'm super proud of.
Yeah,
But
they're all dope.
overall, maybe Backseat is I'm almost proud of that because it just keeps the chillness. It's so chill the whole time.
Yeah, so what was the moment that you realized that music was something you were passionate about and you wanted to pursue with your life?
I love that question too. So I went to Belmont in Nashville and I was working in the music industry, like doing managerial stuff, and then I did PR for a little bit for other bands, but I always saw them on stage when I was covering a show or going to a show, and I was like, man, I just kind of want to do this because I've been writing since I was, I don't know, in sixth grade, so for a while, but I was like, man, I want to do this. I should be doing this. And so I always did it kind of on the side. I was in band. We played shows here and there, and it was nothing crazy. And then I was at work hating my life, and we also worked or had production. We did our production in China, so I had to go over there and like check on some factories. And I jumped on the plane to China, and I watched The Greatest Showman, and I cried. And I said, when I get back from this trip in a week and a half, I'm quitting my job and I'm doing music. And so that's what I did. I quit and I started doing music full time.
Wow, that's crazy. How old
It
are you?
was, I'm 28. It
Oh,
was
okay.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you just get that rush of inspiration and you're just like, this is what I need to be doing with my life.
Yeah. I was just miserable. And so I was like, this isn't for me. There's got to be another way to like just enjoy life. And I think that's the only way I'll be happy is if I'm doing music. It's not about the money. It's not about any of that. It's not about the number. It's about just expressing myself and connecting with people. And so if I
100%.
connect fully with one person, or if I connect fully with 100,000 people, like it's no difference because I'm still connecting with a single person, and I think that's amazing. Plus, I'd rather have like 100 fans that are fully engaged than 100,000 fans that are like partially engaged. Because it is, again, it's all about expression, it's all about connection, it's all about understanding each other, it's all about love, really.
Have you performed, and like do you plan on doing any performances post COVID?
Yeah, so I would probably play um, a show once every 6 months, not a lot, but um, so Harley was a band and it just kind of moved a little slow, and so we just went our separate ways. So Harley is now just me, but I plan to tour once COVID and venues kind of start opening up. Um, Probably just West Coast stuff for now, up and down, like probably Vancouver, Canada, all the way to San Diego and back up. But yeah, absolutely. Shows, I miss shows a lot. That's what I want to do. I love making music, but I'd rather just make music and be on the road is the main goal. I would do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, definitely sounds fun.
Because then that's also the connection too. It's like you're not hiding behind a computer and releasing music. You actually get to see what you're doing affect and change people, and I love that. I live for that. So yeah,
Yeah, the way your music translate to a crowd.
yeah, and like you sing a song, and those people in the will be singing it back to you for like in like 100 different reasons and whys. And so I sing it for one reason, but they're just singing it back for a million different. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. So I
Yeah.
live for it. I live for just seeing those moments.
Yeah, for sure. I get a lot of California influences from your music.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm from the East Coast, so I don't like the music is I think that the music is super different in the way it's uh I just feel like in the way it's arranged and like
Mm,
produced and everything. Like I think the East Coast and the West Coast, they have like really different influences. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because like if you take Tyler the Creator's music and you take like Joey Badass music, I don't know if you're like into rap music, but
Yeah.
you kind of hear the differences in how they are experimental in their production and
Absolutely.
their flows and stuff. And like Laney like is such a California based band.
Yeah. They're
And
super
then you
California.
compare that to like the 1975. They're
Right.
like very European.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
could hear it. Yeah. I see what you're saying for sure. Yeah. I
Yes.
guess it's and but so when I thought this was also interesting too. When I went to Nashville for school and lived there for a little bit. Um, yeah, we're all from the same country, but we all think or have completely different habits, I guess. And so when I went to Nashville, it took me, 6 to 8 months to like figure it out and adjust. I was just like, people just, it's not that's wrong. They just thought different. And I don't know. They're just, we weren't always on the same wavelength. But
Yeah.
when I went back to Seattle or even when I go down to California, it kind of seems to be that, I don't know, West Coast just operates on a different wavelength and similar wavelengths. So that's probably it too. It's just,
It does. The vibes are very different, like a lot more laxed. Like, because
yeah,
when I went to visit, that's the vibe I was getting, like very lax.
I would say the lyric that hits me right now is actually is in Mud, the song I'm writing. Um, it goes, it's like I'm on a dirt road home, but I don't know how far it goes. And it's raining pretty good, just like Seattle always would. Because I know you think that I gave up, but really life's all kinds of tough, and I'm not what I was. I didn't want to drag you through the mud. So it's just like encompassing, like, dude, this last year has been so hard, like just for everybody, just mentally and physically and socially and emotionally and spiritually. And I think that's just kind of like that lyric explains that I feel like I'm just kind of trudging along through like this tough period. And I don't know, I just think it connects and it hits home every time I sing it. So
Yeah, that is a super relatable lyric, especially for this year. I feel
yeah.
like, and I can definitely relate to that lyric. It's been Yeah, just it does feel like you're kind of like walking through mud, like
Yeah,
just trying to
absolutely.
like fucking
Yeah,
get somewhere, you
and then
know?
when you got friends that are like emotionally just, I don't know, attached to you. I guess that's a terrible way to put it, but you just feel like you're just pulling them with you, and like,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of sticky and
Thank you so much for being on the show, Harley, and
absolutely.
can't wait to see what you put out next.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. I'm excited.